Greetings. Welcome to another installment on its way of Metaphysics on your mind. So sit back and enjoy the rhythms of meditation on this journey. Peace.
Hey, welcome back, family, to another installment of Metaphysics on Your Mind. I think when we left off on the last installment, we were talking about, I don't know if anybody had a chance to maybe take a look at it. Kundalini. We're not going to get a lot into that in this particular installation. As we move forward, we're going to add to it, but I just wanted to introduce this, concept to those who might not have been familiar. Again, it coming out of the religions of the East and the mysticism of the East. But we're saying that Kundalini is in effect an aspect of this serpent that we're talking about in Genesis, the talking serpent, if you will. Probably what would be good to do is let me just pick up, just go right to it. Okay. What I mean by the different layers is, okay, if we go to Genesis 1:28, I'm just going to read it off real quick. And it said, and God blessed, and God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. Okay? So when we just examine that, has man, or does man to this day have dominion over the fish of the sea? Of course we don't. The majority of the fish of the sea are oblivious to our existence, okay? So we don't have, we're able to catch fish, but we do not have dominion over the fish of the sea. And do we have dominion over the fowl of the air at any time? I mean, of course, if you're a hunter, you can shoot a bird down, but we don't have dominion over the fowl of the air. You know, you maybe with domesticated chickens, but not over the fowl of the air. And then it says over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. Okay, do we have dominion over everything that moveth upon the earth? I think not. I think if you go out to polar bear country or some other very large predator's territory without the right equipment, meaning a rifle or whatever, you're gonna have trouble. You don't. So what the point is this verse is saying to have dominion. Well, we don't have dominion. Okay, so it must be speaking about something else. So let's go. Let's throw it up here. So Genesis 1:28. It's saying, have dominion over the fish of the sea, the fowl of the air, and over, I believe it says what, over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. So then living thing, creeping thing, whatever, living thing. Okay. Man may be the most dominant, but it does not have dominion over these areas. What the verse is saying, when we talked about how, again, when you're speaking mystically or mythologically, remember we go back to our 4 stages of consciousness. We said earth, well actually we had water, then air, then and then fire, right? This fowl of the air is actually talking about thoughts, intellect. The fish of the sea is talking about emotion. The lower thoughts, or the creeping things upon the earth, in other words, the first man, the human was not given control over these things the way that supposedly the first man did. The first man, the man in God's own image, the image of God created he them, male and female. They were given dominion over these things, but I'm going to say that what it means is it means over the thoughts of your mind, okay? Over the emotions represented by the sea, thoughts by the air, lower thoughts, creeping things, ideas, sensation, desire from things of the earth. In mysticism, in this particular biblical mysticism, the earth means the mind, okay? Actually, all of this is about the mind, but for where we are right now, this is the proposition, is that the earth is actually the mind. That's what it's referring to. So this first man, the light man, the man that is clearly not the physical man, was given control or dominion over his thoughts, something that would later be called emotions, sensations. He was given dominion. But then something happened. So that's Genesis 1:28. So let's go a little further down and let's go to Genesis. Just want to make a distinction here about, okay, Genesis 2:20. Well, let's go to Genesis 2:19. Now, this is later. This is Adam we're talking about, whereas this is the, we're going to say the light man. Okay? The man closer to the creator, the man closer to the God, because remember we said God is light, and these are lights. And the light man or the soul or the spiritual man is light in the image of God. Well, when we get to Genesis 2:19, okay, and out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. And Adam gave names to all cattle and to the fowl of the air and every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found a helpmeet for him. Okay, so did you notice that Adam, unlike the light man, is given, he's able to give names to the cattle and creeping things and the fowl of the air. But the one that's missing is it never said that he had dominion or he could name the fish of the sea. Remember, the fish of the sea is representative of the emotions. Okay? We're going to come back to that, but just keep that in mind. The light man has been given dominion over all these things. This man, the flesh man, we're presuming, was given dominion over the things of the earth and the fowl of the air, but not the fish of the sea. It's been left out of that. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to see why. Okay, in fact, let's do it now. We're going to jump way over to the New Testament, okay, to Revelation, just to show you that the mythology, the mysticism, it goes from Old Testament to New Testament with a little bit of a twist. Again, the New Testament being a little bit more Greek mythology mixed in there than the Old Testament. But let's go to Revelation, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Revelation 6. Okay, this is completely unconnected to this, at least on the surface. It's about the Lamb of God, opening the six, the seals. And I'm just going to read part of it because it's going to directly relate to this dominion thing that the light man has and then Adam has, with one missing, of having dominion over these things. And we're proposing that this is not literal. What happens is that it points you out. When you see these things, you're automatically pulled out into the external. What we're proposing is all of this stuff is actually internal. And these are used as symbols for those processes. Again, earth, sensation, lower thought, desire, thought here, a little bit higher, the fowl of the air, the emotions of the fish in the sea. The serpent, of course, we'll come back to, but it is the major player in moving up and down these levels. Remember, we said the planets were plane nets. They occupy different planes. Okay, we're gonna come back to that. So, anyway, Genesis 6. Okay, you could just, if you have a Bible handy or your phone or whatever, just read real quick. We're not going to examine this. We're just going to use it because the whole point of any, whether it's a religion, a mythology, whatever you want to call it, you need a point of reference. If you're taking all your information and all your knowledge from one source, how can you validate that? In other words, if you read the Bible and then read the Bhagavad Gita and then read Buddha and read, any other number of ancient texts, like ancient Kemet, which is where all this stuff comes from, you have a point of reference. You're able to cross-reference to validate that which you're reading as being, quote unquote, the only source. How can you know it's the only source if that's all you're taking your information out? So we're going from the Old Testament of Genesis to the New Testament, Revelation 6. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard as it were the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, "Come and see." And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him. And he went forth conquering and to conquer. Okay, so what do we have? We have a white horse. He came out first. Basically, for those who are familiar, this is the so-called four horses of the apocalypse in Revelation. So the white horse, he's got a crown. Okay? A bow and a crown. Okay? And he's coming out to conquer. So there's power here. Okay, then let's read on. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, "Come and see." And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. That's the red horse. Okay? Okay. So this guy's got a sword. Let's read on. And there went out another horse. Sorry, we did that one already. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. Okay? So the black horse has balances. And remember, with the red horse, with the sword, he can take peace from the earth. Right? So he's warlike. The black horse has a balance in his, and we all know that there's no way a horse can have balances, or a sword, or a bow. So clearly these are not actual horses. Let's finish it. And I heard in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. We're going to come back to that much later on. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, Come and see. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. Okay, so that was the first 4 seals in Revelation. The point that we're trying to make here is symbolism. Okay, let's get the pale horse up here. The pale horse, get another piece of chalk. Okay, the pale horse, death and hell. Follow this horse. Okay. And then it mentioned something about a quarter. We'll leave it. Anyway, let's just stick with this. Okay. In mysticism, the white horse represents spirit, your soul or spirit. That's why it's a white horse, which is symbolizing unblemished, pure, that of the light, that of God being light, right? That's the spirit. So remember, we said you have 4 natures. You have a spiritual nature, and this second horse, which is red, represents your emotional nature. The red horse is the one that is operating with sword and is warlike, because the emotions is the area that Adam did not get to name or to get control of or dominion of, because we can't control our emotions on the physical level of the rational mind. We can't. It says that the red horse was given power, right? Who follows the red horse? The intellectual. Black, in this particular symbolism, represents your intellectual nature. So you have a spiritual, emotional, intellectual, and then what's left? Physical. That's why it's a pale horse, because the body is going to die. It is going to decay and die. So this is your physical body that will one day end up in the wrecking yard, or whatever you want to call it, okay? This spirit, the white horse, we're going to come to find out, if you haven't already, figured that out, is immortal because it's connected to God, okay, in the image of God. But remember we said Eve, the life-giving spirit, was implanted, quote unquote, into the physical Adam. Well, these other natures now become part of the mix. Eve also, because of we'll get to that. But Eve also is, in this particular story, is representing the emotional nature, okay? Because Eve was the one, quote unquote, who that ate the fruit that the serpent supposedly, it was the serpent's fault, right? Eve is just representing the emotional nature that you can't control. How do we know that? The black horse, which is your intellect, gets misled by the red horse. In other words, your intellect always follows your emotion. That's why they say it's so important to have emotional control and emotional balance, because the red horse is given power to take peace from the earth. What is the earth? The mind. Okay? The earth is the mind. The emotions has the power to take peace from the earth. Adam did not get dominion over the fish of the sea, only over these, the thoughts, the lower thoughts, the sensation. But the problem is this guy, or Eve, desire, emotion, lust, envy, all of those powerful powers personified by the red horse, your emotional nature. Okay? That's why Jesus, when we get to it, walks on water. The water is representing Jesus had control or rose above his emotions. Okay? When the sea gets choppy and stormy, in mysticism, that means the emotional nature. When it talks about birds and things in high places, intellectual nature. When it talks about creeping things, it's talking about feelings and sensations. Okay? Coming through the mind, coming through the serpent. Okay? So then what happens is the emotions, as represented by Eve, and we're going to go into this in the next installation, the emotions misleads Adam, meaning the emotions misleads the intellectual. Hey, I know I'm not supposed to do it, but remember the fruit was pleasing to the eye and was good for wisdom and so on and so forth. So this is a gaining of knowledge. What they did was they ate from the knowledge of good and evil, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and that exists with this. The tree of life, which is quote unquote the domain of God, is a different animal. That's why he said don't eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, even though we're going to find out that it was all part of the plan for that to happen anyway. But the point of this is so we can move forward. Again, you have to be very careful about seeing these in concrete terms. These are symbols that, even though they do have a meaning in the external world, this story is about the internal world. This is about the emotional state, and we're going to get into the next one where we talk about more about the development of the brain and so on, the four rivers that are in creation. We're going to talk about all that stuff, but just understand this is about consciousness. When a spiritual being that is quote unquote God, in the image of God, descends into matter, or what the mystics would call darkness. This is the stages, and you fall into the lowest stage, the physical, right? And God is saying, if you eat from the knowledge of the tree of good and evil, and that's where your consciousness is, death and hell follows. The tree of life is life. But we'll get into that a little deeper in the next installment. But I think you see that what we originally proposed, it's not that this isn't happening. We don't know when that happened. Could have been millions of years before. Who knows? Because when it says God made the earth in 7 days, it doesn't mean 7 literal days. Okay. A day just means at when it happened, which could have been, this could have been millions of years before this, and so on and so forth. So that's it for this installation. Once again, thank you. And again, thank everyone for the new subscribers and those who have been making comments and what have you and have shown great interest. We really appreciate it. But we'll dig back into this in the next installation.